This isn't the worst place to be quarantined, but we are still quarantined in Colombia. So in this video, let's talk about what quarantine is like down here in Colombia.
In this life, but I'm approved. In this life, we can move. In this life.
What's up, everybody? My name is Demski, and on this channel, the Single Dad Nomad, we talk about living better worldwide. That includes the gear, the income, the inspiration you need to live your best life wherever you want. So if you're interested in videos that talk about that kind of stuff, consider subscribing. In this video, let's talk about the quarantine in Colombia, what it's been like, how we're feeling about it, and what our plans are. All that and more coming up.
Can't change up. My team too real, so we stay up. Yeah, this is our year, can't change up.
So like I said, we are down here in Colombia. We're actually a little bit outside of Medellin by about 45 minutes. I first came to Colombia back in November of last year and was planning on staying through May and then going exploring more of South America. This was my first time to Medellin and I've really enjoyed it so far, but of course, being in quarantine is really quite different than living here as a nomad and as a traveler. It just so happened that thankfully we were out in the countryside when the quarantine was enacted, because I had been moving from Airbnbs through Medellin for about 6 weeks at a time, and we just got lucky that the quarantine was enacted when we were out here in the countryside, which in my opinion is much better than being stuck in the city where you can't even go outside of your apartment. So we're not in a bad place for quarantine, but it is still quarantine. Let's talk about what it's like.
Who you believe in, who's next to you, even when doubt has been tested. Yeah. Did you keep an estimate?
The quarantine here started pretty simply. It was a ban on international flights, both in and out of the country, and the introduction of a curfew and limitations on how many people could be out in the street at one time. The rules in general state that you can only be outside for going to the supermarket or a pharmacy or a bank, something of that sort. You can't be going to the gym, you can't be congregating in groups and socializing. And honestly, this level of quarantine wasn't too bad to begin with. We were dealing with it, we were okay. We weren't happy to be in quarantine because my father and I really like to walk up to the gym. My daughter likes to go to the park right next to it, and we were restricted from doing that. That wasn't too bad. But then they increased the restrictions here in Colombia, and now we are only allowed out of the house 2 days a week, and only one person is allowed to go to the store or the pharmacy or the bank or whatever per family unit. So I'm actually really lucky that my dad is here, because if he wasn't, how would I be able to take my daughter to the store if we're just a two-person family unit and I don't have anyone to watch her while I go shopping? I actually went into the store the other day and got stopped by the police on the way in. They just want to see your face, take down your plates, and make sure that you're not coming back into the city more than once per day. So it's quite strict. There are controls around, and if you get caught outside of the curfew or the quarantine or not following the rules, you can be fined or imprisoned here. That's basically the extent of the quarantine. So how are people handling it?
Promise y'all no one will stop us, and no one will stop us. Can't change up. My team too real, so we stay.
I know if this was in the United States, people would be losing their minds. They don't want government checkpoints every few miles checking in on who you are and where you're going. Now, I do understand there's need for social distancing and self-isolating and things like that, but I know there aren't many Americans who would deal well with a government-enforced quarantine like this in Colombia. The people here seem to handle it quite well, though. They're quite calm. There's no panic buying. There's no rushes to the stores, things like that. There's just lines outside the stores waiting to get in, and people just going about their daily business, not appearing to worry too much about this fascistic level of quarantine that they have down here. Me personally, I haven't been that worried about it either. It's not fun by any means, but I haven't felt in danger or anything like that. That being said, it's still super annoying. I don't like government control at all in my life. I don't like anyone in a uniform telling me what to do, where to go, where to be. And so it has been wearing down on my psyche a little bit being here. I know that my dad wasn't even planning on staying this long. He was just going to stay for 3 weeks. We've been here for 4 now, because obviously his flight got canceled when they eliminated all of the international flights in and out. And even though we have a yard to play in and pool time, my daughter's getting quite bored as well, because we usually, when we're not under quarantine, headed to the park or going to the mall, going out and doing things every few days so she can stay active and engaged and trying new things. She's not getting that these days, so I know she's been a little bored being stuck in the house for the past few weeks.
We had a dream and we'll get it. We had a dream and we'll get it. Can't change up. My team too.
Overall, we're still in good spirits, and we actually have some good news, I hope. The American embassy down here in Colombia has been trying to arrange commercial flights out of Colombia, so they've actually successfully managed to get some flights out of Bogota on Spirit Airlines, and 2 days ago they opened up another flight out of Medellin traveling to Fort Lauderdale. Thankfully, I was glued to the internet at that time, so I got the update like that. I jumped up onto Spirit Airlines and I got us flights out. Now, because the flights have been getting canceled in Colombia, there's always a chance that this one could get canceled, even though it already has approval through the embassy and through the government to take off. This is not a government issued flight. It's not a government plane. It's a commercial flight. And so we just don't really know what will happen. We're gonna hope for the best. We have a car ready to take us to the airport in the morning. I'll have to drop off my motorcycle. We'll get to the airport and we'll check in and hopefully be on our way to the United States. I do have a backup plan though, in case the flight gets canceled. I'm gonna keep some of my food here in this apartment. And I also already contacted the motorcycle company, and both my landlord and the motorcycle company are going to let me come back in the evening if the flight does get canceled. So that's just a backup plan. Let's hope we don't have to use it. I'm gonna keep you guys updated while we're trying to get out of Colombia, but in the meantime, I have 2 more videos for you to watch. This one up here is going to show you some fun things to do while in quarantine, and this one down here is going to show you how to set up a simple home office so you can get work done if you are stuck at home. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. But before you go, let me know down in the comments what questions you have about quarantine in Colombia, and I will see you next time. Peace.